Hey guys, I'm Arm. Today let's watch a fantasy harem anime named Undefeated Bahamut Chronicle. The young man attends an academy with only girls, and every girl wants to be his lover. To encourage the girls to study hard, the principal even sets a rule that whoever catches the boy can enslave him for a week. So the boy struggles to run away from the girls for fear that he will have an extremely tiring week if he gets caught. Will the boy be caught in the end? Let's take a look together. In this world, there is an ancient robot called Dragon Knight, which people drive to fight. In a coup d'etat, a black Dragon Knight defeated a large number of Dragon Knights, eventually causing the old empire to be overthrown and the new empire to be successfully established. No one knows who was driving the black Dragon Knight, and he was later known as the Black Hero. We are now introduced to our male protagonist Lux, who is chasing a kitten which holds a wallet in its mouth on the roof, but accidentally breaks the roof, falls directly into a female bathhouse, and onto the princess of the new empire, Shards, considered a pervert. Lux gets imprisoned. The next day, however, Lux is released. It turns out that Lux is the prince of the old empire, and the head of the Royal Academy of the new empire knows that Lux is a good man, so she sets him free. During the war, most of the young male students were killed, and only female students remain at the Royal Academy. Therefore, the headmistress wants Lux to enter the academy as the only male student. But Shards still believes that Lux is a pervert, firmly disagreeing with his enrollment. Shards says that if Lux wants to enter the academy, he must first defeat her in a duel. The headmistress reveals to Shards that Lux has never lost in a duel, but at the same time, he has never won. That is to say, each of his duels would come to a draw. As a result, Lux is known as the weakest undefeated Dragon Knight, but Shards thinks she can definitely defeat Lux. Leaving with no other choices, Lux can only agree to this duel. When the battle begins, Lux summons a regular Dragon Knight while Shards is a very special and powerful Dragon Knight, far surpassing Lux's. But Shards still can't beat Lux. It turns out that Lux can constantly dodge and block his opponent's attacks by his superb driving skills, and that's how each of his duels ends in a draw, which makes him the weakest undefeated Dragon Knight. Halfway through the duel, a monster suddenly attacks the duel venue. The monster, as the guard of the ancient ruins, shouldn't have appeared here. Not reacting in time, Shards is almost killed by the monster. Luckily, Lux saves her. Then, he attracts the monster's attention while Shards attacks it. With their joint force, the monster is finally defeated. After the battle, Lux faints from his injuries. Shards knows that Lux got injured when saving her, so she no longer calls him a pervert, but feels guilty instead. Through this battle, Shards also recognizes Lux's strength, agreeing to let him enter the Royal Academy. As the only male student in the academy, Lux catches everyone's attention. His childhood friend, Philippi, also attended the academy. That night, Lux checks into the dormitory. The next day, when Lux wakes up in his dorm room, he is surprised to find Philippi on his bed. It turns out that there is no boys' dormitory in the academy, so the headmistress arranged Lux in Philippi's room. But she forgot to tell Lux about that, so he slept in Philippi's bed. Knowing this, Shards gets jealous. She realizes that she has developed a crush on Lux. Soon after, many more monsters appear near the academy. The students of the academy, as drivers of the Dragon Knights, all participate in the battle. However, when the Dragon Knights arrive at the battlefield, they find these monsters were summoned by another group of Dragon Knights belonging to the old empire, considered rebels now. In the battle, Shards is soon defeated by them. When the rebel general is about to execute Shards, Lux arrives in time and stops him. The rebel general recognizes Lux as the prince of the old empire, and he is particularly angry that Lux has betrayed the old empire, but he also believes that Lux alone cannot turn the tide. Just then, Lux summons his other Dragon Knight, Bahamut. Everyone recognizes it as the legendary Black Hero. Lux then defeats all the rebels and wins the peace for the academy. When Lux returns to the academy, he has become an idol for all schoolgirls, who even want to date him. Surprisingly, the headmistress then makes a joke to Lux. She pulls out a letter of agreement and announces that whoever gets it can have Lux be her lover for a week. When she gives the agreement to Lux, all the girls go crazy and start chasing him. Facing these girls, Lux runs as fast as he can. He first hides in Dragon Knight's workshop but gets discovered by Shards, and when he runs into the forest, Philippi captures him. As she tries to pick up the agreement, Lux finds an opportunity and escapes. However, he is then chased by a group of girls. Panicked, he hides in a room, which turns out to be a women's dressing room. Leaving with no other choice, Lux has to hide there to prevent being caught. Just then, Kreutzer, a senior student, spots Lux while changing clothes, but she keeps her mouth shut, and after the others leave, she grabs the agreement, ordering Lux to be her lover for the week. It turns out that Kreutzer's family forces her to marry a nobleman, who she has no interest in, so she wants to refuse the marriage on the pretext that she is already in love. Kreutzer fiancé. Kreutzer is a very mean and haughty man. When he hears about it, he proposes a duel directly to Lux, while Kreutzer bluntly proposes a 2-on-2 duel in which she and Lux face off against Kreutzer and his henchmen. The date of the duel is set for a few days later. Before the duel, the Dragon Knights of the new empire have one more mission to perform. A powerful monster appears in the nearby ancient ruins, and they must defeat it. The Academy's Dragon Knights, along with Kreutzer and Lux, participate in the battle. Lux drives a regular Dragon Knight this time to hide his identity, and does not show his true strength. Just then, Kreutzer provokes Lux, claiming to compete with him to see who defeats the monster first. Ignoring the safety of the others, Kreutzer suddenly unleashes his most powerful attack to kill the monster, which, like other monsters, explodes when it dies. Many Dragon Knights do not have time to evacuate to a safe area and are injured by the explosion. Lux and Kreutzer, the closest to the monster, are blown away and fall into the ancient ruins. At the ruins, Lux is surprised to find that Kreutzer can activate the control system. Kreutzer then reveals to Lux that she is not an ordinary student, but a descendant of the founder of the ruins. Kreutzer's current father is not her biological father. He just discovered the sleeping Kreutzer while exploring ancient ruins and adopted her, of course, with the intention to learn more about the ruins. Therefore, Kreutzer's family doesn't love her, and even hates her. Lux can understand Kreuzer's feelings. As the prince of the old empire, he is hated by many people, but even so, he is not disappointed and still loves life. Kreutzer is touched by his words. Then, Shard and others enter the ruins to rescue Lux and Kreutzer. A few days later, Kreutzer decides to go alone to duel Kreutzer because she doesn't want to hurt the kind Lux. Kreutzer's Dragon Knight has the ability to predict the future, while Kreutzer's Dragon Knight can absorb others' energy. He absorbs the energy of many Dragon Knights before coming to the duel, so even if Kreutzer can foresee the future, she is unable to beat Kreutzer. After Kreutzer's defeat, Kreutzer taunts and abuses her. Just then, Lux drives Bahamut here. He stops Kreutzer's mean behavior and offers to duel him. He knows that Kreutzer's Dragon Knight is able to draw energy from other Dragon Knights, so he stored the energy in advance. As Kreutzer's Dragon Knight lets his guard down after sucking in Bahamut's energy, Lux seizes the opportunity to defeat Kreutzer with his stored energy in one blow. This incident touches Kreutzer. Soon the one-week agreement comes to its end, and Lux no longer has to be in a relationship with Kreutzer, who has already been in love with him. She kisses Lux, saying that they can continue to be lovers at any time if Lux wants to. Hence, Lux's harem has another member. When Lux returns to school, the teacher asks him for a favor. Recently, there is a strange person in the academy who specifically attacks girls, and the teacher hopes Lux can disguise himself as a girl to lure the person into appearing. That night, Lux, dressed as a girl, patrols the campus. As he first encounters a beautiful senior, Celestia, the strange person follows to appear, trying to attack Lux. Celestia helps Lux get rid of her and bandage his wound, with no idea that Lux is a man. It seems Celestia doesn't like boys, because the next day when Lux meets her again as a boy, she acts cold to him. Anyway, Lux now cares more about a super monster that will appear soon, which Celestia intends to defeat by herself. If Lux wants to join the fight, Celestia proposes he must defeat her in a duel first. A few days later, some students of the academy are arranged for special training on an island. During the process, Lux again disguises himself as a girl to get to know Celestia, as he doesn't want to be hated by her. Soon, Lux discovers that Celestia does not hate boys. She just doesn't know how to get along with boys, so she deliberately acts indifferent. Soon it comes the day of their duel, which will determine whether Lux is qualified to fight the super monster. Meanwhile, Shard and her classmates capture the strange person, who turns out to be a student of the academy while her real identity is a spy of the enemy kingdom. The spy and a mysterious girl, Hayes, have set traps ready to wipe out the students. Hayes summons the super monster on the island while Celestia and Lux are in a duel. Facing the accident, Celestia and Lux, the strongest ones of the academy, halt the duel to fight against the monster together, only to be defeated by it. As the situation is quite dangerous, Lux finally changes his ride from a regular Dragon Knight to Bahamut, gaining the upper hand. Seeing Lux's real strength, Celestia is encouraged and returns to the fight. Lux manages to defeat the monster with all his strength, but the spy and Hayes have prepared for this outcome, and they flee immediately. After this battle, Celestia finally recognizes Lux's strength and agrees to let him fight with her. What's more, Celestia seems to develop a crush on the powerful and gentle boy. That night, a large whale flies into the sky. In fact, it is not a real whale, but an ancient ruin. The headmistress wakes up Lux and the others, telling them that the real purpose of this special training is to explore this ruin. At dawn, Lux and his classmates drive Dragon Knights into the ancient ruin, where they find no monsters, but a strange girl. When the girl wakes up, she reveals to everyone that she is the AI system of this ancient ruin. Just then, Philippi has a headache, and when Lux proposes to take care of her, a monster suddenly attacks him. It turns out that this ancient ruin is where the monster was born. In order to destroy the monster, Philippi endures her headache and participates in the battle. In the process, Lux suddenly recalls the past of this island, where he and Philippi used to stay when they were children. It was actually a laboratory for the old empire, and Philippi was one of their test items. That's why she would have a headache once back here. Just then, Philippi's consciousness is under control and she suddenly chokes Lux's neck. Fortunately, Philippi's love for Lux drags her back to her senses for the time being and she sets Lux free. That's when Hayes, the one who controls Philippi, shows up. It turns out that when Philippi was modified, she was implanted with the monster's genes, while Hayes has a flute that can control monsters, so she can also control Philippi. To save Philippi, Lux must defeat the king of monsters and destroy the flute. Hence, a decisive battle between Hayes and Lux's team follows. Hayes controls Philippi, as well as the AI girl who controls unmanned dragon knights. But even so, Hayes fails. Philippi breaks free of control with a strong will, interrupting the flute. As Hayes can no longer use the flute, she destroys it and summons the King of Monsters. The King of Monsters has a very powerful regeneration ability, and whatever damage it receives, it recovers quickly. In order to defeat the king and save Philippi, Lux activates the power beyond the upper limit of Bahamut, successfully killing the King of Monsters. Seeing the situation reverse, Hayes can only escape from the ruin. Meanwhile, Lux is severely injured after the excessive using of the power, and Bahamut is also damaged, but Lux believes that as long as he saves Philippi, whatever price he pays is worth it. After a while, Lux gets recovered and returns to the academy, for which the students hold a grand banquet, where the headmistress suggests that Lux go on a date with the 3 highest achieving girls. She thinks it will make the girls study harder. There is also a major festival approaching, the National Day of the New Empire. On that day, the government will hold a tournament to select the strongest Dragon Knight. In addition, Lyshart will give a speech as the princess of the new empire. Before that, Lux has to go on dates with the top 3 girls. The first girl is Celestia, who Lux accompanies to the mall and a tavern. As she soon gets drunk, the date has to be halted. Then, Lux goes on to date another girl, Kreutzer. She is a noble girl, so she takes Lux to a noble banquet. After the banquet, she kisses him. The third girl is Philippi, who shows sympathy for Lux going through 2 continuous dates, thus putting him to sleep on her lap. By the time this date is over, night has fallen. Knowing about the 3 dates, Lyshart gets quite jealous. Therefore, she makes a request to Lux, asking him to attend the speech on National Day with her as her knight, but Lux rejects her, which makes Lyshart sad. In fact, Lux is not reluctant to be a knight of Lyshart, but as the prince of the old empire, he worries that he may cause a bad impact on Lyshart's reputation if he goes with her. After that, a new beautiful girl shows up. Her name is Yorica, and she was once the strongest dragon knight driver of the old empire. Having just escaped from prison, she came to Lux, the prince of the old empire, who she recognizes as her master. Yorica is willing to do anything for Lux. Even when he is bathing or going to the toilet, she has to be by his side. But Yorica is a prisoner after all, so when the other girls spot her, they immediately fight her in Dragon Knights. Yorica also summons a Dragon Knight to fight back. Yorica, as the once best driver, manages to escape in the case of 1-on-4. As the National Day draws closer, Lyshart has been struggling to memorize her speech script lately. Meanwhile, the rebels of the old empire intend to attack on National Day. Hence, the Council of the New Empire orders Lux to go to the place where there are many rebel monsters, and Lux must cooperate with the army to destroy them. Unexpectedly, while Lux goes on his mission on National Day, Lyshart's Dragon Knight loses control at the tournament, trying to attack the audience. Lyshart is thus arrested. Elsewhere, Lux has reached the spot where the rebels are hiding monsters, and he encounters the spy guarding the place, who directs the monsters to attack Lux, while he leads them into the ambush of the new Imperial army, successfully destroying all the monsters. However, as night falls, Dragon Knights of the old empire attack the new empire's army. It turns out that the monsters were only to consume the physical strength of the army, and the Dragon Knights are the main force for rebelling. The rebels will then head to the capital for a final attack. Lux immediately chases the rebels on Dragon Knight in an attempt to stop them. Surprisingly, the rebels also take control of an ancient ruin, which is a super Dragon Knight thousands of times larger than a normal one. Straight away, Lux summons Bahamut to fight the rebels. In previous battles, the rebels have seen the disadvantage of Bahamut, which can only be driven in a limited time. so they stay on the defensive, stalling for time till Bahamut is exhausted. In the next second, the rebel general successfully cuts off Bahamut's arm. But Lux isn't flustered at all. The general then discovers that the Dragon Knight that Lux has just driven was not Bahamut, but a black Dragon Knight that resembles Bahamut. When Lux summons the real Bahamut, he instantly eliminates the general and rushes to the capital. At this time, the Super Dragon Knight has arrived outside the capital, and the Dragon Knights of the new empire are totally suppressed under its superpower. Meanwhile, rebels have entered the Imperial Palace, trying to kidnap Lyshart from prison. Fortunately, Lux arrives in time to save her. Seeing Lyshart being grieved, Lux no longer hesitates, offering to become Lyshart's knight and protect her forever. At the same time, the students of the academy have already engaged in a fierce fight with the Super Dragon Knight, while Lux and Lyshart rush to join in. The Super Dragon Knight is already very powerful, but Hayes also has another powerful Dragon Knight, which she drives to destroy an entire street with a single sword. Even though Hayes is very powerful, Lyshart must fight her alone, because Lux has more important things to do. We see him jump on the Super Dragon Knight, trying to find the entrance to it. Meanwhile, Yorica appears, and she is now Lux's opponent. During the fight, Yorica is hesitant to launch attacks, but Lux has a reason not to hesitate, so he eventually defeats her, and even manages to convince her to join the new empire. With Yorica's help, Lux destroys the core of the Super Dragon Knight. Now, Lux only needs to defeat Hayes to defuse the crisis. Hayes has defeated Lyshart at a cost of consuming most of her energy. Therefore, Lux easily knocks her out and ends the rebels' plot. After the battle, the celebration for National Day continues, and Lyshart gives an uplifting speech as the princess, with Lux by her side as a knight. The speech is a great success, and everyone blesses the princess of the new empire and the prince of the old empire. Then, girls of Lux's harem gather around him, making him feel both happy and shy. This invincible man, driving Bahamut, will add more heroic deeds in his chronicle. This is the end of Undefeated Bahamut Chronicle. From some plots, we can tell the old empire was a warlike and authoritarian kingdom, but Lux is a gentle, kind person. Therefore, as the prince of the old empire, he chose to help the new empire overthrow the old empire. That is why Lux is loved by many girls. So my question is, in Lux's harem, which girl do you like the most? Just leave your answer in the comment area. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and I will bring more interesting anime recaps. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.